Iya, pemirsa terima kasih untuk Anda yang masih bergabung bersama kami. Kini kita ada di segmen Create Up dan tema kita kali ini adalah inklusivitas kepemilikan properti lewat startup. Sudah tersambung melalui video conference ada Robert Hoving, co-founder of GORO Fractional Property Marketplace. We're connected with Robert Hoving, co-founder of GORO Fractional Property. Hello, Robert.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today's show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on Create Up. So talking about the meaning of GORO, this is the way we're kind of knowing you better, GORO, as the startup or prop tech. So can you explain just a little bit what is actually GORO? What does it stand for?
Absolutely. So GORO stands for Gotong Royong, and you heard that correctly, Gotong Royong, which in Bahasa Indonesia stands for the collective spirit to reach the same goal. And our ultimate goal here at GORO is financial inclusion, so that everyone, including first-time property buyers, can actually own properties.
Okay, so the inclusivity of property ownership, it seems like a very huge concern in Indonesia. So what actually inspired you to push for equal access to property, specifically in the Indonesia as a market?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm solving a personal problem. I experienced firsthand how difficult it was to get exposure to the property market. And it all started about 7 years ago when I visited Bali with a group of friends. And during my stay at one of the many villas, I started to wonder what are the returns like on such a property. And I quickly realized that the returns on Bali property is actually quite strong. But it took me a while to gain foothold, but eventually I did start to invest in Bali villas. And shortly after, I was approached by friends and family who wanted to own a piece of the pie, really. They wanted to partake in my portfolio. So this made me wonder if there was a bigger problem that needed to be solved. So after speaking to a larger audience, I realized that there was actually a strong demand for fractional property ownership. And this is partially how GORO was born. On a more global scale, stable asset classes such as property have largely been accessible only to the wealthy. So with GORO, we aim to create a level playing field to lower the entry barrier so everyone may realize their dream of owning property and enjoying its benefits. Now, for example, the property market has historically been the domain of experts and those privileged enough to be in the know how to actually buy property. But now with GORO, the average person with spare cash doesn't need to have any specialized insights into the market to actually own property. Because we do all the research, and the average person can just start buying property and reaping its benefits with just a few clicks from the comfort of their smartphone and laptop. And this is what we mean by truly democratizing property ownership.
Yeah, it is not a strange thing when it comes to the ownership of the property only belongs to certain people because the price keeps on increasing and the price is pretty high. So going back to the moment where I talked to the founders of startup, they're kind of tried to presenting a lot of solutions. So I believe that GORO also presenting some solutions towards the concern that you already explained before. So how does actually GORO works, Robert?
GORO is a property marketplace, similar in concept to online marketplaces. So what we do is we conduct comprehensive due diligence on each potential property that we select based on its yield potential. We then acquire the property and we sell it in pieces in the form of tokens, starting from just 10,000 rupiah. So you can think of GORO as a property buffet where people can freely pick and choose a la carte the properties that they like and that suit their needs. So first-time property owners, they can invest in just 4 simple steps. So we do this through, on the website, they can browse the available properties, then they select the property they wish to buy, and they literally sit back and watch their monthly returns come in. But best of all, people can sell at any given time. So like I mentioned, the minimum purchase amount is just 10,000 rupiah, which is less than $1. And the token that they're buying is their proof of property ownership. And the more tokens the user has, the more they will earn every single month. So currently, I mentioned the word token, but this is not related to crypto or blockchain in any certain way. But that being said, we are open to integrating blockchain into our platform in the future.
Okay, so I can own a property based on my ownership of a token.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, so you're kind of divided into the fractional, into the form of token. Okay, it is very interesting, and this is going to make the ownership of the property become very inclusive. So we're going to take a break right now. So we're going to continue on the second segment. And pemirsa tetap bersama kami saja, kami akan segera kembali. Ya, terima kasih Anda masih bergabung bersama kami pemirsa, dan saya masih berbincang bersama Robert Hoving, co-founder of GORO Fractional Property Marketplace, and we're still connected with Robert Hoving, co-founder of GORO Fractional Property Marketplace. So it is very interesting. We can own property based on the token that we own through the platform. That is going to be making the ownership of the property becoming very inclusive, so everybody can own property. So what are some challenges faced by prospective property buyers, and of course GORO as a new player in the prop tech industry?
Yeah, so historically, people in Indonesia have found it difficult to secure a mortgage or KPR. And this is due to its high entry barrier, specifically linked to the minimum salary requirement to qualify. Another major hurdle in Indonesia is the lack of financial literacy. So the Indonesian middle class is growing extremely fast and aspires to invest, but fails to understand the offering. So GORO helps to bypass some of these obstacles. So we allow users to start buying property from just 10,000 rupiah, thereby significantly lowering the entry barrier and making property ownership accessible to millions of Indonesians across the country. Now with GORO, people also don't need to time the market or have any specialized knowledge about property, because GORO does all the research and property curation. So even those who have absolutely zero experience in owning a property can now actually have a rewarding journey. And as part of our ongoing efforts to increase the financial literacy amongst Indonesians, we have Guru GORO, which is our series of bite-sized explainers on Facebook and Instagram, meant to introduce our innovative business model. Now, a challenge that we face as a property marketplace is obviously finding a healthy balance between supply and demand. So we're seeing a strong demand from our users. And because of this, we're working closely with developers across the country to continue securing properties with a good track record. And any startup in an early stage has to figure out this balancing act. And it's actually very similar to the challenges that were faced by Gojek and Grab in their early days.
Yeah, it seems that other sector or other industry also facing pretty much the same challenges. So talking about the mechanism of or investment mechanism, is pretty much the same like we're collecting a stock from a listed company, and of course the underlying of the investment is the company itself. But when it comes to the investment method that being presented by GORO, so we pretty much collecting the property by collecting, or we own the property by collecting the token. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, it's pretty much, okay. So talking about property, why property and why specifically Jakarta, and also you mentioned Bali. So what are the reasons?
So despite the media often reporting about Indonesians losing vast amounts of money in high-stake investments that turn out to be scams, the data actually shows something very differently. Most Indonesians have gravitated towards low-risk assets such as gold and bonds. But property is also a low-risk asset class, quite possibly the least volatile in history. This is especially true when we compare this to stocks and crypto, which require research, insights to time the market correctly, which most people are simply unable to do. Another myth in the Indonesian market is that Indonesian property has poor yield. Again, this is not true. Across our portfolio of Bali and Jakarta properties, we're delivering 11% net rental yield per year. In fact, our property portfolio outperforms properties in markets like Singapore and Dubai. So how do we do this? We at GORO have developed a deep understanding of the Indonesian property market. And we do this thanks to collaboration with our backers, such as Mike Broomell from Colliers, one of Indonesia's largest property advisory firms. And as a result of this extensive research, we have managed to secure good performing properties across Bali and Jakarta. Now, the reason why we focused on Bali and Jakarta for now is because we're seeing a strong demand from our users to buy properties in these markets.
Okay.
Bali and Jakarta also offer a very different risk profile that we believe suits the needs of the users. Obviously, Bali is the #1 tourist destination in the world and has seen an ever-growing demand for property, especially from short-term rentals and especially after the pandemic when the prices have started to surge. So we're making it easier for as well locals as well as foreigners to now claim a piece of paradise.
Sure. So Robert, unfortunately, we're reaching the end of this show, so I'm going to go straight to the golden question, I believe. So is GORO regulated, and what are the expansions plan in the future?
Yep.
Very short, Robert.
GORO is an innovative business that pioneers a new way for people to buy property. And has always been the case, innovators often run faster than the regulators. So we are actually open to engaging with the regulators to create a custom framework that meets our business model and to create an additional layer of safeguarding for our users.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much for joining. We're hoping nothing but the best for GORO, fractional property marketplace. Once again, Robert, thank you very much for joining CreateUp. Good luck for you.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Dan pemirsa, sebelum saya akhiri, saya akan update terlebih dahulu pergerakan dari IHSG hingga saat ini. IHSG berada di zona merah nampaknya ya, berada di level 6.154,808 dan juga saham-saham yang masuk ke dalam jajaran top gainers diantaranya adalah M-Sky, GTBO, ADI, PTPP, Film, ARI, Wika dan juga Hoki. Sementara itu Haj, Apex, PAK, kemudian BKSL, AHAP ini juga masuk ke dalam jajaran top losers. Ya, sudah 90 menit kami menemani Anda dalam Power Breakfast dan semoga pembahasan hari ini dapat menjadi referensi dan sumber informasi untuk Anda. Tetap perbarui informasi Anda hanya di IDX Channel, your trustworthy and comprehensive investment reference. Saya Wiki Ardian mewakili rekan Prisa Somodatu dan juga rekan kerja yang bertugas. Terima kasih, sampai jumpa.